Greetings, gamers. Tim Kirk here again, and I know it's been a while, but there's been a lot of changes that have kept me quite busy. The primary one is I've had my teeth all replaced with synthetics, dentures, because of, fighting a losing battle against genetics and the medications I'm on, which somewhat impair my teeth basically not decaying where they sit. No matter how careful I was taking care of them, they still were not happy with me. Now, one of the things that I wanted to talk about this time is gaming and responsibility. What do I mean? Well, I have moved back to my hometown from elsewhere. And while there, I had a fairly reliable game group that met regularly and were pretty consistent. Now, they would occasionally flake out. That happens. Adult responsibilities do cause that. But here in Odessa, I've actually had trouble getting a solid game group together, despite promises that they would be available, simply because they aren't interested in that particular day. And I understand, not feeling good or not being up to doing a game sometimes. But when it's consistent, when it's persistent, something's wrong. I mean, if you're otherwise interested in tabletop role-playing, either the game is wrong or the people involved is wrong and you need to fix it. If that's not the case, if it's something else like depression, that also needs to be addressed. I know I suffer from bipolar depression myself, and it takes a whole lot of work for me to be a functional human being, and I'm not entirely there yet, but I do work at it. Unlike some people who seem to just excuse their not feeling good consistently, but not actually being ill and not doing anything about it. And that's not a responsible adult thing. That's kind of hiding from the problem. And I feel that there's something to be addressed and to focus on when you otherwise have that problem. If you're suffering from depression, get help. There's plenty of resources out there in most places. I live in one of the states that has the poorest record of mental health assistance, and still I managed to get at least enough help to try and be more functional. Now, I didn't want to go into a lot of that today, but that's what I wanted to address at first. Now, on to gaming. One of the things lately that I've actually been able to do is purchase new games again. My situation changed. I'm able to purchase new games, and some old favorites that I've lost or been stolen or otherwise just disappeared from my collection over the years. Most recently, I started playing online again fairly regularly because of, again, reliable people in my local area, and I started playing this game. This is Rocket Age. It's published by Cubicle 7, and it's not a fairly dense tome. It's a fairly decent-sized tome. It's not thick, but it still manages to convey the information very completely and make a playable game from it. It uses the same system as their Doctor Who Adventures in Time and Space system, except set up for 1930s, as in the era, style science fiction space opera, which means that the planets in our solar system are inhabited. They're life forms that are fairly recognizable to us, and we have space travel and ray guns. Now, that being said, they address these things in a very interesting way, make the alien races playable and functional, fitting some of the ideas from the 30s. For example, there's the evil alien race from Ganymede. At least I believe it's from Ganymede, but they're not so evil, quote unquote, that you can't play one. In fact, that's one of the great things about the game is they go through and give you ways to bring in all of the player character races as options, and they give you a little. Here's several ways to bring in this race. And the game is full of that and other things to help get a game going. Little adventure hooks plugged in everywhere. Now, the basic system, if you're not familiar with the Doctor Who game, is 2 dice 6 plus stat plus skill, and you're looking for beating a target number. whereas it does explode or does get a critical success at the high end. I don't remember what the specifics of that is. The game is fast, it's easy to make. You use a bunch of templates to create a character. You know, a professional template and a racial template, and you have to get certain advantages and disadvantages. I don't remember what they're called, but that's essentially what they are, that define your character further, and some of them are specific to alien races. In the game I'm playing in, I am a Martian priest, a war priest. It's the Sacred Order of the Hamax, because we use these hammer axe weapons. Hammer on the back side, axe on the front. Big two-handed weapons. They seem to have a fascination with axes. Not a huge one, but two of their alien races' primary focuses, like the Venusians and this particular Sacred Order, both use axes, which is a functional tool and weapon. It makes logical sense, but it might have been nice to see a little play up with some of the more unique items that can exist in this setting. On the other hand, they did a great job presenting a variety of the aliens in interesting ways, make them playable, and still make them fun. Martians have a variety of castes, but they're all playable. Unlike some game systems I've seen that have races with castes, those castes are often detrimental and can't work together. In this game, they've done a really good job of making them flow very well. In addition to Martians, you have Venusians, Terrans, of course, humans, Ganymedians, aliens from Io, and I think Callisto. I'm not entirely sure, and it even has an option for playing player character robots in the game. So, in general, there's a lot of player character options with the advantages and disadvantages and the various templates that fit together. You can create a wide variety of characters fairly quickly and get to playing. I think my only complaint with the game so far is that RGM Online is using a pre-written adventure, and the adventure seems to want to drag things out. Well, it's a space opera, a pulp-inspired genre in many ways. And one of the things in space opera and pulp is you get to the action fairly quickly. Now, not always. Sometimes they build up a while. But the kind of flow of the adventure that he's using is not really what I feel best suits the space opera motif, the genre. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad adventure. Just so far, it has not picked up the pace and has been a lot of player characters doing a bunch of separate things in different areas that are trying to get to the adventure as opposed to being in the adventure. In a different adventure, I could see very much you starting with the middle of a firefight in media res, or something similar. You know, bad guys kicking down the doors and showing up. And I think more adventures need to do that, not just for space opera, but pulp, space opera, superheroes, because you can build up all this backstory, but until you've actually played the game and got the characters interacting with each other and the NPCs, there's not a lot for them to know how to grab onto and play, unless they build their own hooks into their characters. Now, pardon my slurring of words, etc. I'm still not used to talking with these teeth in, and it's getting a bit uncomfortable, so I'm going to keep this short today. I can greatly recommend the Rocket Age rulebook. I've not picked up any supplements yet, but it's probably one of the few games that I will be picking up supplements as time goes on. Just in general, it's a recommended game, simple system. As one friend puts it, it reminds him a lot of Cinematic Unisystem, the system that was used for Buffy, Angel, The Ghost of Albion, and other objects made by a different company, Eden Studios, as opposed to this one, which is Cubicle 7. But it's a very much similar system, very basic, very easy to use, but also very robust and very easy to teach and get people into, while still maintaining a fairly standard traditional role-playing method. Now, in addition to that, I have another game which I'm going to talk about next time, which I played a little more, called Dungeon World. So look forward to me talking about Dungeon World and the things I like and how it does things next time. Thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy it, and hopefully this will turn out okay, because it seems to be skipping a little bit, but we'll see, and if it does, I'll upload this version and we'll be good. Thank you very much.